Hey everyone, thank you so much for your patience and waiting for us today. If you can't tell, which you probably can, we're having a couple of technical issues with some of our players and characters, and yeah, we didn't want to make you wait a whole lot longer. So we're not going to start out with our KFD&D episode quite yet. Instead, I have Ryan and Hamed, who you also know as Karn and Kenduckian. And while we're waiting to see if our third player today can join us, she's having a couple technical issues and computer issues, which is no problem. We're just gonna kind of talk about D&D and just like how we got into it, what are our influences, just that kind of stuff to really um, just have us something to discuss, I guess. So just before the stream started, let me actually kind of get back. Tomorrow night we are playing Phasmophobia, so check that out. It's one of our favorite games. Love to hunt ghosts and kind of get that spooky vibe. Then next week we are back. Jillian and I will continue our Stardew Farm on Monday, and then Tuesday, back to the joy of Board Game Survivor. We will finally get to Puerto Rico. It seems like Tuesdays has just kind of been off schedule for us lately. No big deal. Just, yeah, we'll make it work however we can. But we were talking about one of D&D's most famous characters, Drist Do'Urden, a Dark Elf rogue who is written by R.A. Salvatore. Those are some of the book series that I really got into, kind of really got me in the D&D. So I think Ryan and Hamed have some thoughts on that as well. So guys, when you take that away.
Yeah, I mean, I've read a few of the Dritz books. I've admittedly not read a lot of them. Although my origin story with D&D was actually some of the Forgotten Realms books from back in the early 90s.
Yeah, I started reading them. The author R.A. Salvatore came to Lexington on several occasions because he would basically put out a book a year.
Yeah.
And he'd be at Joseph Beth, our local bookseller, signing books. And at first I was like, who is this guy? Like, what's happening? And really got into him. I think, Hamed, you're starting to read one of the modules, you said?
Yeah, I'm currently reading Out of the Abyss, which is co-written by R.A. Salvatore and set in the universe of the Underdark. And I chose that one because the people that I plan to run the game with have a tendency to be rather chaotic and completely destroy games. I'm sure you've never experienced that,
I'm
Donald.
curious, what's that like?
Imagine you planned everything and none of it is actually drawn upon, but they go off and do their own thing. I was like, okay, if you want to start just slitting everybody's throat gradually until you've eliminated half the village, fine. Let me create a setting where that could happen and the consequences are real. And so I've enjoyed the modules so far. It is very dark and devious in terms of how the Underdark is described, along with the various different races of people. And though it makes me really want to go and look for some of those books that it's based off of, essentially.
So there's a couple of really good segues from this, and I'm going to kind of touch on first kind of the history of how he wrote that. And I would really encourage you to not just take my word for it, like look up his stories. I'm sure they're on YouTube. But basically, the author is from Boston, that Boston area. And one winter, there was just a terrible snowstorm, and he was stuck inside with kind of nothing to do. So he had a copy of Lord of the Rings, the entire book series, and just sat and read the whole thing. I believe he read it multiple times, because it's such a well written, just fantasy epic, and he thought he could do that, and needed to make a character. So those of you that have read the Driss books, he's known for having scimitars, these swords with a curved blade. The inspiration for that actually came from, he's a big fan of hockey, so that came from hockey sticks. And I think that just knowing that really helps as a storyteller, because you can find inspiration anywhere. You can bring something that you love into a story. And I think if you've read his books and kind of see where our plot's going, and I try to avoid direct comparison, but a lot of these stories are very inspired by these books. I'm actually in the middle of a reread of the entire series right now. So if you kind of if you've read the books and you kind of watch our stream, you can very likely see exactly where I am in the books, because it's hard not to draw inspiration from that, and it's more of an homage to me. Like, we're never gonna rip a plot directly.
Yeah.
But the what you brought up earlier, Hamed, about the brutality of the Underdark, I really love what Wizards is doing with the Dark Elves. I don't know if y'all have seen this. This is pretty new news. Traditionally, Dark Elves are considered just an evil race who worship a spider queen goddess. And
Well, yeah.
exactly, and she wants nothing but destruction and chaos. Oh, thanks, Anya. Jillian posted a wiki link on our Discord for more information about the author we're discussing. But so Wizards is actually kind of getting away from this. An evil race means they're evil. Sorry, Hamed is joining us again. Double Hamed. Look at that. You look so good.
Whoa.
We need you on here twice.
I wonder if there's a delay.
In stereo.
So they've kind of changed the idea. I'm getting an echo. Can you mute one of your? There we go.
Yep.
Perfect.
Sorry.
All good. So one of the things.
In space.
We're such children.
One of the things they're doing is adding multiple types of dark elves, so that yes, the dark elves from Menzoberranzan, which is Drist's home city, yes, they are evil. Yes, they worship this spider goddess with this brutal society. But then there's other dark elves, because I think it's really important, especially in today's climate, to not stereotype one race or one people as just this one thing. And while it does kind of change the lore that most of us are used to in the Forgotten Realms, it's a welcome change to me. And I don't know how you all feel about that.
You know, I'll be frank. I've got a friend who makes a good argument saying that there's no reason that the Drow necessarily need to be changed. That is based off of canon. It's based off of the original description from literature, and to whitewash it, I think takes away something that's really intrinsic to the D&D culture. Just because the Drow live underground don't mean that they are an allusion to any real life race. Their history is completely unrelated to the real world. And personally, I kind of agree with the idea that going ahead and changing the culture just because it might offend a few people will lose something that was true of D&D. And I mean, if they want to make Drow that are lawful good, there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, I do feel like something will be lost in the process if the idea of the evil Drow, as recognized by all other D&D races, is altered in some way. Does that make sense?
It does, and I can kind of see that point, but I think the idea that you're born, and then therefore, and it is a lot of the raising, especially again if you read the Driss books, there's a reason that he's like the exception to the Drow in most of these, where he's not evil, that you can be influenced by good people, and that not everyone, even then, like not everyone is all about this crazy Loth worshipping weird society, that it's dominated by these strong women, and men are really worse than second class citizens, and it's all about where you're born. I mean, it's if you're not born to the right house, you are nothing in that society. So
I do appreciate I do appreciate one thing that kind of summed up the Drow, and it's from the first Driss, Dark Elf trilogy book, when he goes to their version of an academy, which is just basically it's many Drow die of natural causes at the academy. a knife in the back is considered a natural cause.
Yeah, and it's I get your point completely. I totally do, and I think but I would like to see that for any of the races that are considered evil. You know, I don't I don't want to give out any spoilers, but you look at some races of like big dumb brutes, and that's all they are. They never plan.
The
They never plot.
Klingon? You think the Klingon is evil?
No, I don't.
Yeah, they have a certain culture, a certain belief system. They come off as brutes. They come off as incredibly aggressive. However, that is intrinsic to their culture. And in order to humanize the Klingon, Gene Roddenberry introduced Worf to Next Generation, but at the same time, he didn't change the culture of the Klingon. And I feel like changing the culture of the Drow would lose something.
They're not changing the culture, they're adding new cultures. That's what they're kind of doing. Where, yes, the ones that live in the Underdark in Menzoberranzan, yes, they are. And as me handlebars, and there's been a lot of great points in the chat, but me handlebars, you know, in the original series, they were just evil. But then you add Next Generation, and then the Klingons, you add something. You're making a small change, which again, it's a fantasy world. Like we absolutely, as a culture evolve and start to think differently about everything, our fantasies and our other realms, they can also change, and it's not a bad thing.
I'll give you that. You know, back in Greek and Roman era, there was a lot of pedophilia. I'm glad that's changed.
I was worried where we were going.
I'm still a little worried. I'm still a little worried about it.
I'm going to disconnect one of my two webcams.
Awesome.
All right. Okay.
But
you guys talk about something.
But Drizzt is coming out like in a new game. It's a computer and console game. It's a Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. I think they're just calling it Dark Alliance 3. The original Dark Alliance games, I was a huge fan of. They were not Drizzt-centric, but this is going to be where you can play as like Companions of the Hall, which is kind of a fun little group of a dark elf, a dwarf, and then two humans who have been adopted by the dwarf as his children. So, just
as you do.
Yeah, right, as one does. A dwarf king, of course. Yeah. Well, I've been. Yes, it is actually. Me Handlebars. It is a multiplayer game. It is a multiplayer co-op where you can actually, if you want to play as 4 Wolfgars, you can play as 4 Wolfgars if that makes you happy. But I think we all agree Wolfgar is the worst character out of all 4 of them.
Fair point.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's coming out in June. Yeah. I plan on buying it as soon as it comes out. I think it's going to be on PC and consoles. Like a third-person kind of action-adventure game.
Yeah. I got kind of a... I mean, we only got a little bit of footage, but I kind of almost got like a Diablo vibe from it.
I think so, and it's like an over-the-shoulder kind of view.
Yeah.
So like on a night like tonight where we're having technical issues like this, it'd be a great thing for us to be able to switch over to something like that. But let's maybe we talk. Yeah, as of now, there is no Jarl Axel Handlebars. It is just the 4 companions, and not Regis, because it's Regis.
Unrelated to D&D, but if you want to read another good little bit of R.A. Salvatore, he actually did a pretty damn good novelization of Attack of the Clones back in the day.
I remember he also wrote the book for Star Wars that is no longer canon, where Chewbacca dies.
Oh yeah.
He told a really funny story about it where he like took the money for writing the book ahead of time, and then got a call from George Lucas saying, "Oh yeah, you got to kill Chewbacca." And he's like, "Well,
yeah.
I didn't want to do it, but I already spent the money, so
just gonna take this random moon here."
Yeah, but I think we did talk about inspiration. So for your characters in this game, for Karn and for Ken, can you talk about like what has inspired those characters and what maybe that you thought about the character to start has changed since we started playing? Let's start with Karn. Never mind. Let's start with Ken.
I'll let you go ahead, Ryan. No.
Go ahead, Karn.
More or less, I'm gonna admit it. Before the last 6 or 7 months, I was not really all that familiar with a lot of the additions to D&D myth, kind of the D&D lore. So when I came across ASMR, I was like, well, this sounds like an interesting race. I want to see what I can do with that. And I'm not gonna lie, the idea for an ASMR monk, just with the eventual transformation, I was like, oh, so basically I can make an anime character if I wanted to. And I don't know, Karn's characterization has kind of changed because I originally envisioned him as being much more socially awkward, but I feel like the awkwardness kind of existed without even trying, just with some of the madcap tangents that we go on.
No, for sure. It's always fun to see the dynamics of different players. And the group haven't played together until KFD&D. Some like maybe a couple people have played together, but no full group. So that's been really fun to see how everyone reacts to each other. But Hamid, tell me about what was your original vision for Ken?
Oh, you and I have played before on Roll20, and that was kind of a charitable thing you did. I know originally you did it for free for all of us, and we were really gracious about that. My goal when I play in group storytelling, just as it is in real life, is I like to make people laugh, and I wanted to think of tropes that I find humorous, and I'm just like anybody. I like a good pun, and the possibilities for duck-related puns, were promising. So I wanted a big duck, but then I also am like a big fan of Batman and the way he talks and the way he acts. How he's not evil; he's lawful good. Well, but he's an anti-hero because it comes from a place of anger, and yet, so I guess the duck is inspired by Batman to a degree. But do you remember Darkwing?
Yes,
Oh
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, and so there's an element of that, except I always thought Darkwing was a little puny. I wanted him to bench press 1,000 pounds like Bruce Wayne could, and have 12 master's degrees, and to just snap at the at a single slight. And but from there, the idea of Howard Johnson, his brother, I just wanted to make a hotel joke that and that story got kind of carried away. Hello there, Bethany.
Hey, oh, she's still
She's
connecting to
connecting to
audio.
audio right now. And now,
Hi.
So just real quick,
hello.
Jillian wants to point out
Oh.
that she thought Ken Duckian's voice was actually your voice, Hamed, for a long time.
That's the best compliment I've received in a while. Thank you for that. And it hurts to talk like that for a while. So usually after every episode, I'm looking for Coraseptic and cough drops, but it's worth it.
All right. So
Just gargle enough whiskey and it'll all work out.
Bethany, we're talking about the inspiration for your character and kind of how you pictured that character to start. And I'm going to have you all talk about that continuing as I fix the next screen. So maybe we can start playing some.
Oh Lord.
Yeah,
Literally,
Bethany,
my
do you remember
computer's not
how?
even up and running yet.
Oh no, it's fine. We're just going to have a good discussion tonight about our characters and everything is fine.
Every now and then on your favorite TV show, they'll have these sit downs where just characters and actors and actresses get to sit and discuss with the writers some of the things. And I kind of like these little breaks, these throwback episodes. So, Bethany, how did you come up with Chime?
So I started with the races, because Donald had a whole variety of races available to pick from in Roll20, and I haven't really, I hadn't done a whole lot of some of the non-vanilla races, and I'd seen stuff online about Kenku, and I thought it was really interesting. I think it really started out with it really just started off with, okay, I want to play a Kenku. Because I thought the idea of having that limited speech would be interesting. I thought it would be an interesting but
Trope.
No, you're good.
but
So I
like,
do want to point out,
yeah.
sorry, Bethany, really quick. So as you pointed out, I gave a ton of options for races for the players. I mean, like almost everything that D&D has to offer. And yet someone was not satisfied with those. He wanted to be a giant duck. So the very first thing that we had to do was come up with a giant duck race. And like
God, Ahmed.
luckily, and the plan was to run a homebrew campaign. I like to, like, there are so many D&D worlds and so much lore that is already existing, but I think one of the really great things is that we're building a story together. We're building lore together. But whether the players know it or not, everything they do is part of this world's lore now. And, you know, so the first thing that we do is there's a race of duck people that, like, very first thing. So that's established. And, like, it's just part of, like, this is how we're building it up. So sorry, Bethany. I know you were saying something important. I'm going to go back to messing with this.
Not really, because you caught me in the middle of a brain fart. Now I can't even remember. Oh God, I'm a mess. I'm a hot mess. I tried to turn my media down, and then it just lasted in everyone's ears.
So when you have, oh sorry, unless you want to keep going, when you have like
Okay.
your initial character idea, and then you get a couple of episodes in, and how has that changed? Like, how has their personality changed? How their tactics changed? How are their relationships with other players changed?
So, I know for Chime, I originally, honestly, I was kind of afraid I was gonna be kind of a jerk because creating her, I had this idea in my mind of like she's gonna be sort of like a loner character, and she sort of is, but for a comedic amount, and that's starting to change. It's definitely changed over the last 13 or so episodes. You know, it's gone from I don't know you people, I'm desperately trying to get home, those are the only people that I care about, to oh my God, I can talk now. And you know, trying to just finish what she started.
I definitely feel like of all the characters, Chime has been through maybe the most. Maybe with the exception of, and at this point, Ryan and Karn, like, losing your essence. I don't want to call it soul. You don't know what that meant per se. But the part with, I don't want to, like, ruin the behind the screen fart for people. But
No,
Jeez,
that's
you
what
farting
happened.
behind that screen, Donald?
I mean, yeah, I do actually. Had beans. It was great.
Oh my God.
Oh, God.
Oh, so wait a minute. That's not what the windscreen on my mic is for.
But I take a lot of suggestions from players, and
You do. I appreciate
yeah.
that.
Yes.
because again, the most important thing to remember to me about Dungeons and Dragons, it's the number one rule. This is a cooperative storytelling game. It's not me against you. It's not you trying to trick me to get around something. It's we are telling a story together and trying to have fun doing it. Sorry, I'm still trying to work on the backgrounds and stuff.
Well, while you're talking, we can take over the speech part.
Yeah, so what parts of Hamid, why don't you talk about what you suggested so far and how that played out in the story?
Yeah, there were a couple of suggestions I made, especially as it relates to Ken. I had, as I was coming up with these ideas for his motivations and his reasons, the story just kind of formed itself. I mean, he came to this continent in order to find his brother. His brother, why is his brother here? Well, his brother is an entrepreneur, and he wanted to start a bunch of Howard Johnson's hotels all across the land.
and so but then got kidnapped in the process. And so um, just the I just those tiny little details kind of fit just really nicely. And what will our the fans will later find out is that Ken and Howard are not that different. They both have kind of a entrepreneurial background, but where Howard was legit, Ken worked in the underground, and he is got mixed up with a lot of really bad people. He was kind of an auditor, and then in order to atone for his sins is when he left that life and joined the Order of a Pond and became a paladin to atone for his transgressions throughout his life. And that's why he has this sense of lawfulness, but at the same time, he cannot control his temper and tends to have outbursts where, in order to save people, he will do irrational things. Like when the ships were descending down from the waterfall at the edge of the earth, and the other ship, the full of gnomes, broke up. Ken impulsively jumped off the edge, even though Schmebulak Sid told nobody to move, and
It
that
was a
then
Shmebulak.
caused
It was oh god,
a different
the
Wizard of
other
Sorts.
Different
the
wizard.
other wizard that Sam ended up putting on.
Tape.
Yes,
It was top
I think.
eight because I
Yeah.
had some tape
Named
nearby.
it after Tape. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Well, if it makes you
Oh,
feel
no.
better, I named a couple of gargantuan bugbears Garg and Tuin.
I mean, it's hard. I don't think,
Yeah,
like,
it's not easy.
as a DM, you can plan for everything, and then it just falls apart, and then it makes a better story. So I'll be like honest. So this is again like some of the stuff that's I don't want to ruin the magic for viewers or for the players, but we're gonna kind of talk about like what ifs and stuff. What I really thought was gonna happen in that situation was Tam was gonna annoy that wizard as he was concentrating. So that was the plan for everything to go sideways. I didn't think that you were just gonna jump off and he would have to like kind of save you.
Yes.
So like it's definitely a if you're like a new DM or haven't DM'd a lot, very vague notes and just let your players do what they're gonna do because it's gonna make a better story than you telling them like point A to point B to point C to point D.
Oh, definitely. That's so true. I mean, I'm just now getting into the world of DMing. I just DM'd my first two shot, and everything
It's
I had
so hard.
planned,
Nice.
it went sideways, but in a good way. Where I thought that I was just introducing baddies for my friends to combat for the enjoyment. What did they do? The bard played a song that kind of made the bugbears charmed onto their side. And it was Country Road specifically, and the bugbears start dancing and singing John Denver, and all of a sudden I have to voice like four NPCs I did not expect to be part of this damn party, and they just went on to a campaign of making friends rather than fighting enemies. It was so weird.
But that's like the best part of the game though. Like
It was.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
it's
I know. I feel like I've talked about this a million times, but I had my party at one point while I was DMing decided to burn down a town.
All right.
Yeah.
Donald knows something about parties deciding to burn down.
I do. I
Well,
do.
I mean, like for mine, it was like so it's an old mining town, and literally the next town over, which is across like a mountain ridge, are sending people over because they're like, oh, we have to appease the spirits here. We got to be like all nice and kind to them. And the party gets there and they discover that the spirits, they just want to be left alone. And I'm thinking, okay, the party is going to convince everyone to leave. And that's why these spirits have been, destroying everything inside of all the buildings. No, they decide they are going to hold an impromptu meeting and bring out like the 5 people that are living in this ghost town outside so that they can then go around and burn all of the buildings down. And it worked. And as soon as I suggested it, I'm thinking, this is not at all what I thought was going to happen. This isn't exactly what I wanted. But I can't think of a logical reason why these ghosts would say no.
So what I was actually getting at with Hamed's question, early on in our stream and discussion, he wanted there to be some type of soothsayer or like fortune teller.
My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. I see. I like that we think different things because it's going to come out with some more stuff, and I don't think a lot of people maybe who watch fully understand what D&D like really is. Thinking that we're like trying to summon demons and sacrifice a goat, where you don't sacrifice a goat, you slow smoke it and make barbecue. That's the Kentucky way.
Right.
But after Barty seduced the goat.
No, bards love seducing things. But so I had like a very vague idea of where the story was going to go, but it was really his suggestion for a soothsayer. So one of the best tools a DM might have is you always tell the players yes, but always a yes, but so they got their fortunes told, they got their stories, they got what they wanted out of it, but it came at a great cost. Indeed. That two of you really experienced, and I really wanted it to be like an episode or two at most, and it just but you have to have those consequences to make it, and then they kind of become a recurring character, a villain you want to go after that at this point has still not been resolved. They're still out there, and they still have something that I think you want, but other parts of the story keeps going. So again, and me Handlebars has mentioned in the chat, I think one of our best episodes has been where Chime had to decide between maybe killing James and getting to go home or not, and being stuck in this continent away from her family. So that was just a suggestion to me from Tim, just saying that at some point Chime should have to choose between like maybe losing someone in the party and getting to go home. So that wasn't much of a yes but moment. So I really thought it was going to be Tam, but it has to come from like an organic place with what the characters think. So you ask all these questions just to really get to like, what are the dynamics of the party? Who likes who doesn't trust who? And that, with that being a couple episodes ago, I think even that is probably in the process of changing. And that's really a good thing, that, you're not this static party. You're dynamic, and your thoughts change just like you do with your friends.
Agreed. I feel like that exactly how you said. The collaborative storytelling doesn't necessarily mean you know where it's going to go. By having a different sort of inputs and different visions that come together and counterbalance each other, feed on each other, the entire party and the entire story heads in a certain direction. The reason I propose the Soothsayers is because I had no idea what somebody else would do if they went blind because a bunch of witches. They would look for a cure. But, I mean, this is a brand new continent. There's no doctors, really, or medicine men or shaman. If anything, it's very, very primitive. And so that was the only thing I could think of. Maybe a chief or a witch man, but witch doctor, if you will. But at the same time, that story was so much more than just trying to get a direction for the characters based on their intrinsic drives. It became its own thing. It also, at the very end, not very end, very middle of it, I think it brought two disparate characters a little closer together. You remember very end of the episode how Ken and Chime apologized to each other and had that moment. Yeah. Which I didn't think would ever happen.
I know. I didn't either, but I think in that moment, I know Chime knowing the way that Ken is, definitely, as she understood it, just kind of, it felt like she was the one that kind of gave that push to make Ken go into it, because it became that now or never moment. So yeah, that was, I still think about that sometimes.
And
that was a good the character moment.
I always really want to warn players when something intense is coming up. people get very invested in their characters. I mean, and I think especially Bethany, I mean, she did the art for every character, and you can kind of see that in your screen as it scrolls through. Like, this is her artwork, and it adds so much life to these characters. And they're not like, these are all custom done, not like stock tokens, stock images that hundreds of characters might use. Like, and I feel attached to these characters, and I'm not even playing them. I'm usually trying to kill them in some way.
You're not. The monsters you have.
Thank you.
The co-op thing.
Yeah.
To quote Zangief and Wreck-It Ralph, you are bad guy, but you are not bad guy.
And we definitely want to.
God.
There has to be a challenge. There has to be a sense of danger. One thing that for Game of Thrones that really ruined it for me for a while was at some point you could tell some characters had plot armor. And yes, no one has died in this.
What's that mean?
Plot armor is where a character would normally die, but they get a situation where they just can't. They're too important to the story, and they can't be killed. So man, I don't want to give away major spoilers, but someone died at the end of a book, end of a season, and then is brought back to life. Just
Yeah, I know
yeah.
exactly what you're talking about.
So we are going to go ahead and I think transition into a short episode now that we've kind of talked about some of our characters and what's happening with that to give you a better idea. And of course, if you want to know more about the characters of KFD&D, just D&D in general, I post a lot of DM tips. Join our Discord, and or don't. It's fine. Either way. Which will have a link up to that. So, Ryan, do you mind doing the recap of last week's episode?
Yeah, let me get Discord pulled back up here.
We've decided last week was episode 13, by the way.
I counted. I really did count.
Oh,
I
thank you
feel
for
like we
the
should have just
Christmas stuff.
repeated 11.
Yeah, 11 for the fourth time.
11D.
Or
This episode count only goes to 11.
Why not just make 10 louder?
11.
Sing it down.
Alright. Okay, last time, which we have established now, was episode 13. Party settled in for the night at the Great Wizard Smebulok's tower. Everyone was given their own rooms, but Chime kind of went searching around just to see if there was anything of interest or just, shiny. Smebulok kind of materialized behind her, just kind of caught her in the act. Anywho, Tam saw Chime and Schmebulok together, put two and two together, and got insanely jealous. So basically, for anyone who watched it or watched the VOD, basically there was a gigantic argument between Chime, who did nothing wrong aside from just being a rogue, and Tam, who thought that Chime was just trying to steal her man. Basically, argument continues. Following morning, party leaves the wizard's tower. They take three wagon caravan, head north. Basically, get all the way to just to a wide river that they're trying to ford. That was blocked by a couple of mud creatures who kept going, and I'm going to try to do the best impression of Donald doing this creature voice. Treasure.
Excellent job.
But party gave them a few items. They weren't taking anything smaller, though. There was a lot of demand for treasure, more than just two of these creatures. And then Chime more or less lost her cool, engaged them in battle. Everyone joined in, and then basically the creatures flew away. Some of the creatures flew away. The ones that were left were dispatched pretty easily. Party crossed the river and then came to the mountains that marked the famous Mustache Pass.
Oh, we're not to the Mustache Pass yet. You're in the hills.
Well, no, we're seeing the mountains.
You can see the mountains. Yes, correct. Okay,
They're right behind Ryan, actually.
beautiful.
Ugh. Anyways, they come to a good stopping point around a cliff that James decides to start climbing up. Chime tries to follow, albeit in the pretty much the most difficult route you can. Lost track of James. Our heroes heard a loud scream that echoed throughout the mountains. Chime went around the bend, looking for James, but all that she was able to find was a hole in the cliff where James may have fallen through.
All right, so that's where we're going to pick up. Otherwise everyone else was kind of gathering for the campsite. It's dusk. The sun's starting to set. Most of their caravan are trying to settle in. While Tam was incredibly interested in what happened, she wanted to go back to the campsite, use the stone, and try to reach Schmebulok and talk to him, figuring that the three of you could likely figure out where James went.
Me.
Chime.
James?
Where'd he go?
Time.
Right?
Wait. So I've just witnessed this. Have they witnessed this yet? Like, did they see the hole?
We'll go with you. You kind of screamed out in shock, and the other two came rushing. So the three of you, you're standing top of this cliff. I think we established it was about 90 feet up from the ground.
All right.
On three sides, it's a cliff, and there's a steep hill, kind of facing away from the campsite. In the distance, there's the mountains, kind of trees getting denser and denser as it approaches the mountains. The sun is setting. Beautiful colors coming from back behind the mountains. A cool breeze coming down as the night begins to fall. And one of your friends, just a hole of blackness, about person sized, that maybe just collapsed.
By the 13, where did he go? Did you see what happened?
No. Do I look like I saw what happened? There's a hole in the freaking ground.
I could only make one conclusion. I'll give you a wild guess what it might be.
Really? You have a
Yeah.
guess. You have a guess, Ken.
Believe it or not, I do. I think he may have fallen into the hole.
Oh my God! Ken has spoken. We think that James has fallen through the hole,
Not this shit again.
which is probably the only logical conclusion, unless you want to go look over the cliff and see if he's fallen over the other side.
You guys want
Oh
to
my
stop
God!
this
I might be a
arguing?
bird, but I'm not that bird-brained.
You guys want to quit the arguing and actually look for James? Karn
I
looks out
don't
the
have
hole,
night
just yells
vision.
out- Just yells out, "James, can you hear us?"
Well, I guess he's
Silence.
gone. Let's go back to camp. I mean,
Okay, he could be injured down there. Do either of y'all, are y'all say, I can't speak. Are either of y'all able to see down in the dark? Because I can't.
I can't
do have
either.
dark vision.
Okay.
Okay, then why don't you take a peek down that little hole, see if you see him down there.
Okay.
Wait.
Let's go.
Karn, before you do that, you might want to hold your blade in instead and use the reflection. You don't know what could snap your head off.
Well, then, can I borrow your blade? I kind of don't have one.
Can you hold it? Yeah, sure. It's two-handed. It's about 6 feet long. James, Ken pulls out his great sword and just holds it with one hand out to Karn. Mind you, it's 58 pounds, so, or 53. Sorry.
Oh my God.
Okay. So Karn, you're gonna try to look through the reflection of the sword down in the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the sword is shiny-ish, but not like a perfectly mirrored surface. So you're looking at a sword kind of hovering over a black hole. Even with your night vision, it doesn't show a whole lot. You just see darkness.
Hey, give me that before you drop it. Why don't we just tie a rope to a torch and lower it and see if we see anything.
Do you have a torch on you, or is someone gonna run back to camp?
Hold on, I'll check my stuff. You guys talk it out, figure something out.
Well,
Okay.
I'd love to know if this is bottomless, because that's... Yeah. I'm just
That
going
would
to
be
take this
good.
rock and drop it down and see if we hear anything.
That's a good start.
Okay.
Yeah, if you hear somebody groan, you know you hit James. Yeah, I got a torch. Hold on. Anybody got a rope? Wait, yeah, I got a rope too. Here. Let me-
Let's go ahead and do the rock first.
All right.
Okay, so it takes what you guess to be 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds, and you hear a loud clink, like a rock hitting another rock, something similar, some other like hard surface.
Okay. The hole can't be
Okay,
that deep.
so not bottomless.
All right. You want to lower a torch? See what happens.
I mean,
Yeah,
I guess.
I think we can do
Interestingly
that.
enough, if it's a very tight shaft, we may consume all the oxygen in that shaft with this torch. End up killing James.
Okay, maybe let's not do that then. 10.
All right. I got an idea. Since you got night vision, Karn, I think Chime and I can lower you into this with a rope and pull you out at the first sign of danger. How does that sound?
I mean, we don't really have much of a choice if there's the possibility that James is down there, so let's do it.
Yeah. And if the rope snaps, you can do your wing thing, your little wing magic thing.
Well, hopefully it shouldn't be that long of a fall if we only heard a second or two, but let's do this. Rig me up.
All right. I'd like to hold your arms out. All right. You want to check for kind of strapping Karn in, or?
Yeah. Are you doing it?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead and do a survival. Give me a roll for survival.
Okay.
Just trying to test your skill to see how well you secure this rope. Okay.
I think somebody else should do this.
You
God,
kind
you want to
of
go at it?
start to tie it.
I'm trying to log into Roll20 right now on my phone, and it's not going.
That's fine. I rolled a 2 or 3.
I got you, John.
Oh, Lord.
Oops.
I think I end up tying the rope around Karn's neck.
You can't even like get a knot. You just struggling to figure this out. You hand the rope over to Chime, who I guess accepts it. And
Yeah, tying is not my forte.
Chime, you got a you roll and you get a 22.
Oh yeah. Not master.
So just
I did not see
Hey,
that
and
coming.
then
This is
This
good.
joke is not funny.
so
like it's not funny that my knots are better than yours, and I'm not a Boy Scout like you.
I'm a duck. Anyway,
Okay, I'm not a Duck Scout like you.
moving on.
Mr.
Can we just throw the
Survival
bastard
Man,
in the hole?
Duck.
all
Right.
right.
Aren't you
ready
ready
for
to
our
toss that
trip?
hole?
All right, lower me down.
Okay. You start to lower Karn. Karn, you see, like with your limited vision at first, just nothing, still darkness for a bit, and then
Nothing. Still nothing.
a few feet down, once you're kind of in the hole and the light fades, your eyes begin to adjust to this darkness. You kind of blink a couple times, almost just not believing it. but it looks like you're being lowered into a city. Just a city that's been buried. And just directly below you, and once you're down about 10 feet, maybe another 30 feet below you, a flat rooftop with some footprints kind of on the ground and starting to lead away towards the what you believe to be the north, and able to go down a building. But otherwise, just patches of buildings and a central avenue. You can kind of make it out a little more. And as you get closer to the ground, a green light that is just very faint, kind of all around you, blue-green. You look around and there's some type of small mushroom, moss, mold. It's hard to tell from this distance, providing just enough light to kind of provide a dim light to others, and your night vision is still helpful, your dark vision, but there's just enough light here to maybe let you make out some things. And but as of now, just on a rooftop, some footprints leading off to the north.
What do you see down there?
There's a city down here, and there's some footprints, so it looks like I can't tell if they're James's or not, but someone has definitely been down here recently.
Okay, we're on our way down.
How wide's the hole, Donald?
Maybe about, just enough for a person to kind of squeeze through. Ken being a man of girth, or a duck of girth, like Shaq, it would take a little wiggle waddle, but you could get through, but just one person at a time.
Here's my thing. What are we tying the rope to? Are there trees around?
No, we're tying it to my greatsword.
But won't you need that down there? What if you
How
run into
else are we
some
getting down?
boogeymen?
No, how else are we getting down?
I don't know. We'll get like a stick or a log or something. I don't know. We'll get
I got an
creative.
idea.
You're the biggest one in the party.
I also feel like tying the rope to the sharp
No,
cutting
please.
object isn't.
Please tie a rope to a sword. Please.
All right, when you put it that way, maybe I'll lower you first, then I'll figure out how to get down there myself.
But what if you need help grabbing something, though?
Don't worry about me.
Okay, Mr. Man. Mr. Duck.
That's better.
So Chime will kind of just swim on down.
All right. So go ahead, and who's securing Chime with this rope?
God, I guess. Can I secure myself?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. What's that check again?
Survival.
No. Sorry.
No problem. I got you. Oh, you got it?
Bravo.
Let's see.
Dun, dun, dun.
I've got a 12.
Okay. You're able to, not as strong as the one around Karn, especially with you doing it yourself, but it's a decent knot, a decent harness, not causing yourself any pain.
I am still the knot master of the group. Not in general.
All right. Ken, you gonna use some strength to lower? Okay.
I've got an idea. I've got a couple of spears in my pack. I'm just gonna kind of make a T-cross with them and secure them on the outside of this hole, and then use that to kind of rappel down.
Okay. Go and give me a strength first to lower Chime down. Let's see how that goes.
I did, didn't I?
Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, you did. Okay, yeah, so no issues. Smooth as can be. With his 15, And you kind of see the same thing as you get down. You're on a flat rooftop of a building, and there's just a ton of buildings, just dozens of buildings. And I mean, obviously, there was a city here, and you're down, and again, you see the footprints kind of going off to the north, in the dust and dirt. Okay, so you're gonna build like a little support structure out of some spears.
Yep.
And then tie the rope to it.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead and give me a survival check to build this structure.
Let me describe what he's doing. He's got these two pretty firm spears. You know, they're designed for combat, and they're essentially javelins. It is wood, but it's a very thick ash wood. So he pulls out a dagger to kind of carve an indention, yells out in the hole,
Hey, it's gonna take me a while. You guys hang tight.
and he carves out a indention on each of the middle parts of the shafts that fit into each other, like locks. I'm not sure what the architecture term is, but they kind of line up to where it's a perfect cross. And
Okay.
then tries his best to secure the rope in a knot around all four of the posts, going around several times, winding it, and creating a knot that he feels will secure and will support a very overweight duck. So, you want to check for that?
Yeah, go ahead and. How long you willing to spend on this? This is like not a rush job, right?
Right.
So you're carving it out, doing all this.
Yeah, about 10 or 20 minutes. So.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and give a survival check, but you'll have advantage for using these tools and for putting this much effort into it.
Okay, 21.
All right.
Not 20.
So you spend your time doing it. You get the carving. You get these like indentions done, line them up perfectly, wrap the rope around it, get the spears. Or you thinking like crossing them over the hole, or like putting the spears into the ground as to secure that way?
Into the hole, over the hole.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I guess I could have put them into the ground, but it's a mountain, so it's probably not dirt. It's probably rock up here this high up. So.
Well, he fell through, so it's something. All right. So you get the kind of the cross over the hole, and it's just big enough to cover it with these javelins, and actually those are pretty big. All right. Go ahead and give me so to climb down this rope and not fall. I need an athletics check.
You got it. And if you want to roll a check for the strength of the spears, I wouldn't hold it against you.
We'll see what happens with this roll. Uh-oh.
20. Oh.
All right, you just kind of rappel down. It holds. It's strong. And yeah, Ryan points out the Mission Impossible theme plays. So you find yourself on top of this roof, and maybe the first thing that hits your nose or whatever, is the smell. It's kind of moldy, and the difference in the air that you're just in, and here it's just so humid, and just I don't, especially like with your connection to the 13, something just feels off about this place. Something dark and just wrong. But here you are on top of this building, and actually kind of, as Chime and Karn have had more time to investigate, there's the way north. There's actually stairs leading down. Like this was designed to be like maybe a rooftop patio or something along those lines. That very easy access from the outside of the building.
I go catch up with Chime and Karn, kind of looking for them. It's dark, so I'm using my hands to feel around. Like,
Hey guys, where are you at?
So with these like kind of greenish blue mushrooms or moss, or you haven't gotten close enough to really tell what they might be. There's a very dim green blue light just kind of emanating throughout this whole underground complex. So you have dim light. It's not dark, but you can just see. Maybe if you put your hand out too far, you might not be able to, fully get the full like sharp view of your fingertips, but like there's enough light that you can navigate around.
Gotcha.
What in the Underdark is this place?
I got no clue. I'm kind of uncomfortable down here, to be honest.
Yeah, this is not. Under any other circumstances, I would say let's get the hell out of here, but yeah, I'm not about to leave James down here if that's possible.
Hold on, I got an idea.
I'd like to cast Divine Sense.
Okay. So those watching at home, Divine Sense allows Ken to detect the presence of evil. And it usually kind of comes through to him like an odor, especially the forces of evil. Whereas the forces of good, like heavenly, would sound like music to his ears. So he sits and concentrates and calls upon his connection to the 13, the gods of justice, the holy tribunal that knows no wrong and instantly is able to judge with 100% accuracy. He is able to know if it's a celestial or fiend or undead. And if it's within, I think it's 30 feet, 60 feet, excuse me. The stench of undead is strong in here. And just a whiff of fiends as well. And you kind of linger a second.
Get your weapons out.
You definitely know at least one fiend, maybe more, have passed through this area recently. But there's undead just lurking around.
Be on your guard.
Ken pulls out his greatsword.
Okay.
I don't like the smell of this place.
I don't either. Donald,
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
That's okay. Donald, I'd like to do a perception check just to see if I can spot anything in this little bioluminescence, like any more tracks or anything.
Sure, please do.
Okay. 7.
Okay. No, the tracks kind of stop that you've been following, that there's some ones just before like this large boulevard, and as you, especially with your night vision, you can kind of see like make out outlines of buildings, and one is this boulevard seems to be leading. It's a wide road, maybe 25, 30 feet wide, with rotted remains of tents and it looks like goods maybe all along the side of it. And at kind of the end of this, there's a large building. You can't quite make out, but it has a domed roof in the middle, a large dome. It just dwarfs all the other buildings in the area. But as you're looking at this and kind of taking it all in, off to the side, a shadow moves.
You guys saw that too, right?
I'd like to throw a dagger at the shadow.
Okay. Go ahead and... So you didn't, like, fully catch it, but go ahead and make an attack roll.
All right. Where is that? Oh, is it just a D20?
Yeah. If you have a dagger, it would be on your, under your attacks.
Crap. That was a 9. But I don't think I have a modifier for dagger, so I'll double check the sheet. Yeah, no modifier. I'm just throwing my one dagger I have.
Okay.
So
You kind of pull it out from your belt and launch a dagger almost haphazardly, like you're just kind of chasing something that isn't there, and it just flies off into the darkness. And a second or so later, you just hear it thud against something. Dirt. Maybe. Hard to tell.
Damn, that was my favorite dagger.
Don't touch mine. Mine are important.
All right, let's keep moving.
I'd like to move forward. I'd like to do a perception check now, too.
Sure.
do I hear?
Um,
I rolled a 2.
all right. You hear the clank of the dagger, but otherwise, this entire place is just, as they say, silent as the grave. You look around, and again, out of the corner of your eye, almost behind you, a shadow moves.
Wait,
You
okay,
think-
so there's not like any shuffling or anything? Nothing to indicate anything else is down here?
Nothing that you hear.
Hey guys, you all know I can, like, make loud noises, right? We're aware of this.
Can you throw your voice?
I, I don't know. I've never tried it before.
Before you do
I
that,
think I would have.
Yeah,
before you do that, guys, let's try to get some more. Let's try to get a better picture.
I'm thinking if James is down here, we can make him aware that we're down here if I make a loud noise.
yeah, but you want to
But-
draw everybody towards us?
Yeah.
Right,
Before
that's
you-
my thing.
Before you
is-
do that, though, because Ken has a point, we could wind up attracting something else. Let me cast light just so we can see what we're doing, just in case something comes out.
Like, that's not gonna be as obvious as if. Okay, whatever.
I know. I'm just saying, if something does come at us, we want to be able to see it.
What are you casting light on?
Just the building closest to us.
So at this point, you've been kind of walking and talking, and you're on this boulevard, and the buildings themselves are a little further from the road. And as I discussed before, it's mostly like tents and barrels. Let me get you on this map. Can you all access Roll20 right now?
Let me
Yep.
see.
Yeah.
What are the buildings made of? Are they
Mostly
stone?
stone. Some of it looks to be some type of brick, and you haven't really like large bricks, but haven't gotten really close enough to it to touch. Some of them have maybe crumbled and were maybe wood at some point, but it's hard to tell without really investigating them. So as you're walking down this large street, again the tents kind of line the street, rotted. The frames are falling apart. There's a couple piles of debris, a broken cart, barrels up ahead. Now that you're getting closer, you can see it. What was once a tall statue, maybe human. It's hard to tell. It's broken at the legs, has fallen over and is actually blocking part of this road. You can get around it easily enough. The road is cracked and worn, crevices kind of throughout. It's very uneven. And again, just kind of everywhere this blue green glow. Okay, so Karn, if you can kind of see the map, can you let me know where you want to cast light?
Yeah. I'm guessing this right here is a barrel of some sort, so
I'm gonna cast
I'll
it on
cast it on that.
Give me 1 second to, because it might make a difference on what happens. So that provides just a circle of light, just bright light. So instantly this illuminates, and a bright light comes from the top of this barrel, like a little sphere, illuminating out. And now you can see in great detail the cobblestone road, this barrel that's decrepit and falling apart, the vibrant color that has still remained of this this yellow tent, torn at the top. Inside the tent is still goods, boxes, barrels, a chair, a carpet that's mostly rotted and gone. And as that light illuminates, the shadows are definitely moving, and they're all around you. And it's time to roll initiative. I wish I would have had a
Oh,
combat
yeah.
music pulled up right then, but I didn't.
I wish you would have had a dog puppet that asked us to roll initiative.
That's a weird thing to want.
Awfully specific, but I feel like that's something that Donald could provide.
Donald's known to pull miracles.
Roll initiative.
Oh my god.
You happy?
Very much so.
Okay, good.
A little
All
bit
right.
more so.
All right. I feel like this is just the just a mess of an episode tonight.
All can't be winners. Be on your guard. There might be other dogs down here.
Let's see. Do you mean get you, Chime?
Yes, please. Surprisingly, actually, unsurprisingly, roll 20 on the phone is not. It's not great.
Oh, I didn't know you were on your phone. Wow.
Yeah, I've got Zoom on my iPad.
Okay.
All right. So what really gets you is this shadow that's behind you. You're sure it's moving. You're sure. As it seemingly you are, because this is like we're starting combat. There has to be a reason we're starting combat, and you sense it that it's going to be coming for you. So you are up first.
So is the shadow coming like directly for me?
It is. It kind of manifests itself into what looks to be a human shape, and not one of your shadows, not a shadow that would naturally be there, and it kind of manifests itself physically off the side of this debris pile, claws extended, and you think it might be a as it begins to lunge towards you.
Okay. I'm gonna try and I want to slash it with my short sword.
Okay, it's still probably 20 feet from you still.
Oh, in that case, I'm gonna ready in action.
Okay.
As soon as it's within range, I'm gonna slice at it with my sword.
Awesome. Okay. Ken, you are up next.
All right. What do I see? Just the one shadow creature.
As of now, one is moved kind of away. Definitely not a real shadow. Something else.
I too already in action, and will flank Chime
Okay.
behind this garbage can or whatever.
Gotcha. Okay. As expected, the shadow lunges towards Chime and does cross. So Ken and Chime, you both get to use your previous action to attack.
I'm not able to do that on mobile.
Oh, no problem.
I can't pull up my character sheet on mobile.
I got you.
Thank you.
Okay, so with your short sword,
All right. Does a 20 hit?
okay, we'll go with Hamed first then. A 20 does hit.
14 damage.
Let me take a look real quick. Okay. So your sword kind of does what you expect to a shadow, and kind of not, as you feel like it makes some contact, but not the solid contact that you're used to when you hit a corporeal enemy that you can feel. Still doing
It
a
just
good-
goes through it.
partially. It does seem to hurt it as it recoils from your blade, again making that noise. And then Chime's attack also hits. So you rolled a 7 for damage there, Chime. And again, you kind of pierce through it, and there's like resistance at first, and then your sword just passes through. So maybe not doing the full damage you'd expect. Did I do the wrong one? Yeah, okay. But it looks like with those two hits, it's very hurt already. All right. But, as I mentioned before, you felt like there were definitely more shadows around you moving. And now you know it for sure. As another one comes out of hiding.
Bring it on. I'm not afraid of any of you.
And then another. And finally, another. As a total of 4 demonic shadows, shaped like people, but no real light to stop them, comes forward. The first one comes up next to Ken and makes an attack. And since his friend is flanking, he is going to get advantage. Oh, that's the wrong button. 17 to hit.
Hits.
Okay, you take 9 necrotic damage. You also lose 3 strength. Its claw.
Wow.
Its claw gets into you, and you feel your life essence, your very strength being sucked through it. Yeah, these are nasty. Let's see the other one. Okay. This one starts... Oh, no. This one starts to move, makes a direct line towards Karn, gets to this bright light, and just stops. Doesn't seem to have realized it was there, and lets out another noise, as it does not want to be part of that whatsoever. And the last shadow kind of creeps up from behind, making a towards the group, and the shadow that you all have already attacked is going to try to claw through Chime. Chime, that gets a 21.
Wow.
Which
I don't know.
hits.
Does that hit?
12 necrotic damage, and you lose 3 strength as well.
I don't have much of that to spare.
Now these are... And Karn, it is your turn.
All right. Well, I am gonna move over here, and I'm going to make a one-handed quarterstaff attack against the shadow that started this whole mess. And that's a 21.
21 hits.
All right, that makes for 6 bludgeoning damage.
So this, with your enchanted quarterstaff, your gift from Shmebulok, you kind of see the other weapons pass through these creatures, but yours, being enchanted, smacks it solidly.
Oh my god, you're Ghost Puncher!
Just crushing against it. Oh, you also had advantage, which I think you took that into account. And just, it lets out a terrible shriek, and then just shrivels to the ground, becoming... it's dead. I'm just moving it off to the side, because that's the one I use for initiative. Thanks.
Evil lurks in the hearts of men. You tell me, you little bitch.
Anything else?
That was metal.
All right. Well, I am gonna use some more of my movement here just to kind of regroup closer to Chime and Ken here, and that'll finish out my turn.
Okay.
Chime, run to the light. They can't stand the light. You can pick them off there with your short bow or your crossbow.
And get closer to the barrel light.
Oh yeah. Let's see. How close am I?
So you are, like, on the edge of the light. You're probably 20 or so feet from the barrel at most.
Yeah, I'll run over to the barrel and then I'll start shooting.
Okay, 15 feet. All right, so there's one. There's 3 of them that are all uninjured. One on the edge of the light, probably about 15, 20 feet, or 15 or 10 feet from Karn. There's one also directly next to Ken, who just attacked him. And there's one to your south all by himself.
I'll pick off the one on the south.
Okay. Let's see. You're going to roll to hit with you. I should probably just keep your character sheet up. Probably smart. All right. You're kind of freaked out by everything that's happening around you. These shadows seemingly come out of nowhere. You pull your bowstring back. Your arrow flies true, striking this shadow right in the face. And it, again, kind of slows down for a second and then speeds through. But a solid critical hit against it. Anything else? Bonus action thing on your turn?
I think I'm gonna tell Karn to start, if he has time, to start casting light on the weapons.
Okay. Yeah,
Weapons or our clothing.
With that, Ken, you're up.
All right, I turn to the one that hit me. There's rage in my eyes, and he starts holding the great sword behind him. It starts glowing a bright white light as the light starts emanating from Ken's eyes as well into as he begins to utter the words for divine smite. He hurls down this massive great sword in a fury over the shadow character, and he does first his great sword damage and then another 4d8 on top of that. So
All right, let's roll to hit
do
first.
that.
See what you get.
Yeah, you rolled a hit first. That's right. So
All good. Sometimes it's exciting.
how does that hit? 19.
A 19 hits.
All right, and then plus 24. 34 damage.
Your great sword emanates with radiant, just light of justice, and this shadow creature lets out a terrible, blood-curdling scream as the light penetrates its shadowy body. Just, you can physically see your great sword bathed in light, slicing this shadow into two, as it doesn't stand a chance against your divine power, and it is gone. It dead.
All right, and I run towards Chime right about here.
Gotcha. All right. So the shadow creatures, realizing that only one of you is outside of the light, is making a line for that. The first one is going to attack you, Karn.
Okay.
Right, well, if I hit the button, try this again. They are rolling very well. A 23.
Jeepus.
You take 10 necrotic damage.
Ooh.
And lose 3 strength. The second one rushes over to you as well. Oh. Gets a crit. 20 necrotic damage.
Jesus.
And you lose 4 strength. You still standing?
Barely.
Okay. That is their turn, though. And it's up to you.
All right. Well.
Oh,
Actually,
Karn, don't
just real
forget,
fast.
you have resistance to necrotic damage.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, so all of that I just told you is halved. So a total of 15 instead of a total of 30.
Right. That helps me out quite a bit. All right. Well, I think I'm going to attack the one that Chime damaged earlier coming from the south. I'm going to attack it with a one-handed quarterstaff attack.
Okay.
That's a 7.
Yeah,
Guess
7
that's
does not hit.
Okay, well, then I'm also going to make an unarmed attack. And that's 16.
A 16 does hit.
All right, for 3 bludgeoning damage.
All right. Anything else?
No, that's gonna be it for right now.
All right, Chime, you're up.
Okay, so let's see. The one that I hit down in the south, how is it? Is it looking pretty injured?
Little more than half probably in terms of like it's
Okay.
it's still doing some awesome shadow things.
Okay. I'm not going to move, so that should give me advantage on that attack roll, which should also give me sneak attack, right?
It does, correct.
Okay. I'll go ahead and go at it with the short bow.
All right, you get a 19, which hits.
Yeah.
So with sneak attack, you do a total of 12 damage.
Excellent.
And again, it just your arrows don't seem to find complete purchase. Just that, like they're resistant to the damage. It's up, but just barely at this point. And then you can't move. So do you want to use a bonus action for anything?
No. No, I
Alright.
don't think so.
All right, Ken, you're up.
All right, I'd like to lift this barrel with the light on it and smash the weaker of the 2 shadows with it.
Okay. Go ahead and give me basically a strength check just to kind of throw the barrel, with no proficiency bonus.
Okay.
Because you're basically using an improvised weapon.
7.
Okay. So you pick the barrel up and throw it, and you miss, but you do get the barrel closer. So now both of these shadows are kind of engulfed in this bright light, and they both like physically just recoil from it and let out again a as their hands kind of go up to where their eyes would be if they were human, and shy away, but otherwise don't seem to be physically hurt by it, just maybe greatly perturbed, maybe is the best word. So that would be your action. Do you want to move or do you use a bonus action?
Yeah, I'll run over here.
Okay, nice. The shadows are up next. Karn, they're both going to attack you. The first one, I'll do the one in the south. It has disadvantage because it's in this bright light that it seems to not be doing as well. With disadvantage, gets a 16.
Jesus.
I'm just looking to see. Yeah. I'm just rolling really well tonight. Sorry. So you take, after your resistance, 3 necrotic damage
Okay.
and lose 3 strength.
Okay, I am officially out of strength.
You're out of strength?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to defeat them with your speech.
No.
Thank God being a monk I can use my dex instead of my
Well,
strength.
if your strength is 0, you die.
Oh.
So,
Peace.
okay. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. You die.
He doesn't get any saving throws?
You dead. The other shadow, realizing now that the target in front of him is no longer necessary, moves up and is going to attack Ken. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing. He has disadvantage. Shoot.
I'm hoping I'm not dead yet.
Just kind of a pile of jelly on the ground.
He gets a
Yes, and you're
6
like,
due to the, being in the light.
Here.
Oh, that was
So
lucky.
misses. All right. Chime, you're up.
I feel
Whichever one just killed Karn, I want to shoot that one in the face.
Okay, it's that one. I got to roll for you. I keep forgetting.
Yeah.
The part of Chime tonight will be played in part by Donald.
I'm just rolling, naturally. No one can play Chime
I'm
except
making
for...
all the decisions.
Yeah, I've seen how you've been rolling, Donald. You hating.
Yeah,
I
I'll-
should still have advantage on that, right?
you do. And this
Okay.
time the arrow, fueled by vengeance and hatred, pierces through it, dropping it to the ground. All right. Ken, you're up.
Ken, seeing Karn wither to the ground, fearing the worst, he screams at the top of his lungs, Karn! Sounded a little too much like Con.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Didn't quite catch that.
Okay.
God!
I'm just imagining you two also going full Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures on. You killed Karn, you medieval dickweed!
So again, he holds a great sword high up into the air. Light emanates from it and emanates from his eyes as he screams Karn's name and slashes into the shadow monster, cutting through it like smoke.
Destroying
very-
it. Again, it
yeah,
splits its
very well.
body into two.
Ken drops his great sword, runs to where Karn was, and starts casting everything he can with lay on hands as he, on Karn's lifeless body.
It doesn't seem to have an effect. And we'll pick up what happens next time.
Bravo.
God
Yeah.
damn.
All right, so we'll be back, hopefully, for another KFD&D episode. Won't be until June. Well, next week is June anyway. So,
Most of us will be back.
yeah, most of us. June 8th. I think we're going to stick with 8 o'clock. Time seems to work better for most of us. So we will be back then. Tomorrow we'll be doing Phasmophobia. I know this is kind of a short stream, kind of a weird stream, but this is I think the best ending place for everyone.
Agreed. Especially for Karn.
Especially for Karn.
Is Karn actually dead? Will James be able to forgive himself for disappearing when his friend died? Find out next time.
I don't think I can top that, so
Yeah,
let's find somebody to raid then. Real quick. And I think yeah, I'm a little thrown off now. Just went to roll 20 again.
Don't think you can raid people in roll 20. That's a new feature I didn't know about.
We can try. We have to try. We have to save him. Let's see. Let's just go with Brambeard. We like
We have the
Brambeard.
technology. We can rebuild him.
All right. So yeah.
Oh, no.
Thank you all for joining us tonight on a very unorthodox episode of KFD&D. And we'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll see you then. And tomorrow, again, Phasmophobia. And yeah, tune in next time to see what happened to Karn. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Send help.